Why do you call him Johnny Longbow?
Well, it's his Indian name, his tribal one. It translates warrior's bow that reaches long to its mark. Well, I hope he didn't frighten you.
Paul. It's us I'm really frightened about.
Kathy.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the 31 Nights of Halloween Horror! The Perverts Have Spoken. Yes, episode number 19. Episode 19, coming off of last night's epic rant about one of the worst movies ever made, Track of the Moon Beast. I thought, you know what, I need to watch something kind of entertaining. Something kind of maybe sleazy? After all, this is The Perverts Have Spoken, and honestly, I think the perverts have been a little bit upset with me for the lack of perversion. So, even though last year's epic smut fest in there with like Centerfold Girls and Malabimba and stuff like that, I thought that I would go back to the land of Asia, Hong Kong to be exact, to review a rather infamous little Cat 3 film called Naked Poison. I know, a little treat for you perverts out there. I know, you guys are just now salivating over the prospects, yes. So what is this movie about? Well, I'm glad you asked. So this movie is about a guy named Min, who is a big freaking loser. He is at a dead-end job, who gets abused by his co-workers, his boss. He is not respected by his grandparents. He lives with his grandparents. They don't really respect him. He is disrespected and abused by his apartment roommates. I guess, you know, he lives in an apartment, the other people in there beat on him. Of course, he does kind of like peep on them having sex. So yeah, he's a degenerate, low-life pervert who is addicted to porn and masturbation. Oh. Actually, he's a pretty cool guy, man. Yeah, he's not a loser at all. Oh God, I gotta reevaluate what I'm doing with my life. But anyways, so his grandfather is a kind of medicine man. He makes all kinds of crazy concoctions to help cure the people of the city. And one day, while he's getting venom from venomous snakes, he accidentally gets startled by Min and ends up getting a poison placed into his system, probably went through his hand into his skin, and he dies. And Min uses this opportunity to take over the chemical business and concoct a super high potency, I guess, roofie type of drug. Yeah, it's one that just makes women go crazy with lust, and he then uses it. Yes, he tests it out on the neighbor's wife, and she just becomes so hot and bothered and just literally kind of just rapes him because he's the only man around. He's like, wow, it works. And the next day he figures out that the woman has no memory of it. So he decides to come up with a dastardly plan to poison his co-workers, those evil bastards that have been tormenting him all his life. And honestly, it works pretty well. He actually even creates a drug called, what is it, Happy Teas? Whatever. Gets his boss and one of his co-workers, I guess you would say addicted to it, but basically if they go through withdrawal, they feel like shit and they're gonna die, and so he has to keep them supplied so that they can be normal. And so he uses that to become the boss of the company, to extort them of all kinds of money. And honestly, during all this time, there is this girl who works with him, who is a really sweet girl who kind of sees the good person that he is, totally missed all the perversion and, you know, stalker stuff that he does, and really, really likes him for who he is. And he kind of, you know, becomes boyfriend and girlfriend with this girl. I think she's, her name is Ling. And, you know, it's almost like a little beautiful love story that is tarnished by this really, really messed up situation that he's created. So now he's dominating the office. He is the boss. He's blackmailing the old boss, and he is making sex slaves out of beautiful women. I mean, he's got one under his bed, chained, that he uses just in case he can't find someone to get off, I guess. Whatever. So, in the end, he wants to get more money out of the boss man, and apparently his wife is like super rich. So he gets them to get the wife over so that he can extort her for all that money. But things go south, and he ends up killing the boss and the boss guy and the two women, the wife and the one secretary girl. And of course now the police are involved, but yet they can't just pin it on Min, and so they recruit Ling to, well, basically sell him out. So I'm not going to tell you what happens in the end, but what it is, and you can kind of figure out where this is going, but what this is honestly, past all the sex, all the nudity, all the ridiculousness, is a really interesting and complex story about how one man who's abused and beaten down and who's a loser, once he gets that power, what does he do with it? And Abraham Lincoln once said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the exact quote, but it's like, you don't test a man's character, you know, by having him face adversity. Any man can overcome adversity. But to truly test his character is to give him power. And that's what we have, is this guy becomes corrupted by the power. He becomes, you know, he was shy and he was, you know, not very forceful, kind of a doormat. But once he got power, once he knew he could use the drugs to control people, he became arrogant and evil. I mean, I guess he was not that great of a person to begin with, but he really, really abused his power. And, I mean, there's the scene when he's in his office and the police are talking to him about the murders, and he's just, like, smoking a cigarette while playing solitaire on his computer. And just the arrogance. And you kind of feel bad for him at the beginning, but then you just kind of go, well, he's going to get what he deserves toward the end. And that's the sad thing. It's kind of a tragedy because he had the girl. She was into him. She was beautiful. He could have had that. He could have been happy, but no, he had to, you know, get the money. He had to become the powerful guy. He had to control people and make sex slaves and give in to his desires. I mean, he couldn't just have the normal life. He needed to control these people. And I guess in a way, you kind of understand because he was so out of control. He did not have control on almost anything in his life beforehand. And so just getting that power thrust upon him just sort of totally went to his head. It's almost like, was it Death Note? Where Light Yagami was a good guy. He was a good guy, and that power corrupted him to the core, where he became, you know, he thought of himself as God. And in a way, this is the same kind of story. And honestly, aside from all the wonderful tits and all the sex, that storyline is very interesting and gives the movie this sort of, you know, great plot narrative that ties all the craziness together. And in the end, I mean, even if they tone down the nudity and the sex, it's still an interesting and relevant type of story to tell. And in a way, it elevates it above that sort of Cinemax, late night, softcore garbo where it's, sex, 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 nudity, and, well, a little thread of a plot. I mean, this one really, really had a story behind it. And, they made him so pathetic at the beginning. You believed the patheticness. And at the end, he was it's transformed into this evil monster who's no longer pathetic. I mean, he has definitely grown into a regular, well, not a regular, but like a man, but like an evil, messed up man who's keeping girls locked in his room under his bed, chained to it. But anyway, so honestly, my overall impressions of this film is a 3.5 out of 5. Because, well, hey, I'm a guy, I love me some tits and all that stuff. But even if you would strip that stuff away, I still think it's a solid enough story. Not very violent, not very gory. Like I said, not so much horror. I mean, it's horror in the sort of sense of you see what happens to someone when they get power and how that corrupts them. And honestly, most of the people in this movie, except for Ling, are horrible people. The boss guy is cheating on his wife. He's sexually harassing the women at the company. He tries to rape Ling in his office, but Ming rescues her. The other girl, Winnie, I believe, she's kind of like having an affair, blames Min for all kinds of problems. Even when Min tries to heartfelt apologize to her while she's in the ladies' room, Min's not like, squatting or nothing. She's just washing her face, and it's like a real, like, hey, knock on the door, can I come in? Yeah, it's like, I want to say sorry. Some other girls show up, and then Winnie's all like, oh, look, she was trying to peep on me. He was trying to peep on me, and all that stuff. And of course, the wife of the boss, I guess his name is Peter. She is just a piece of work, really, just like money, 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 I'll kill anyone who stands in my way. So these people weren't that great of people. The apartment dwellers, the wife and the husband, they're just punks in a way. And even the grandparents, the minute the grandfather dies, the grandmother's like, I'm not going to deal with you, kid. F you, man. I'm off. I'm going off. And only when he becomes, powerful and successful, she comes back. And, oh, my grandson, it's better now. No. Honestly, there's only one good person in this movie. And it's kind of a tragedy in a sort of Greek sort of way. So, in the end, it's for a smutty, TNA, softcore porn extravaganza. In its heart is a morality tale that is somewhat timeless and kind of brilliant. So, in the end, Naked Poison, if you like tits and ass and sex and nudity, it's full of that. I'm probably giving it a 5 out of 5 on the nudity scale. But if you also want some story, want to see kind of the transformation tragedy thing, go right ahead. It is a quintessential 80s feel in that Hong Kong cinematography they've got. But if you're looking for something more horrifying, more violent, and more gory, this will not be for you. And if you're put off by the over excessive use of sex and nudity, which you could be, I mean, everyone's got their own taste, then you might want to pass on this. But in the end, you could just fast forward through those scenes. You're probably missing 60% of the movie, though. Anyways, but I enjoyed it, and I thought the perverts will likely enjoy it too. So there you are, Naked Poison, 3.5 out of 5 overall impression. And there we go. I am done with episode 19, which means we are getting ever so close to the end. So I will talk to you guys next time about another movie. Maybe I will continue on with the theme of the Hong Kong somewhat slutty sleaziness. Or I might think of like maybe finding some kind of splatter gore or something or other. I don't know. I'm still up for a new movie too. I gotta find my way to get to Crimson Peak or watch The Visit before this is done, so I can give you guys my opinion on those movies. Because I want to try to spice it up. I mean, we had some new, we had some old, we had some gore, we had some not gore, we had some slutty, we had some not slutty. You know, it's all over the place. So variety is the spice of life, after all, right? Anyways. Until next time, stay scary, Internet.